Made it. Look at that. We are 2 minutes late, but I made it on here. It was a very, very late night last night. Hi, Caitlin. So I want to fill you in on everything that's been going on around here, but I'm going to wait a second for everyone to jump in there. Tracy Pinter, just saw you less than 24 hours ago. Oh my gosh, Tracy, I'm so tired. I think I got like 2 hours of sleep last night. Tracy and I were in Ohio. Tracy's always in Ohio. Leah Pratt, nobody. You're somebody. Jacqueline Longley, what's up, Jack? Two Jacquelines. Two Jacquelines in a row. Tall Tal, bro. Everyone was like wondering where you were and stuff like that. It was such a great weekend. It was like really great. I'm glad that you're getting on here. If you guys don't know, my friend Tall Tal is Tal's a teacher, and he teaches fourth-ish. He teaches between first and fifth grade somewhere. And he had to have eye surgery, and I'm in Ohio, and you were really missed. Like people, like everyone was talking about you. So it was like, know that was happening. So look, before I'm going to jump in, and then I want to tell you about what's going on here. So I'll give Jake his little podcast intro right here. So this is Real Rap With Reynolds, guys. This YouTube channel that I started at the request of my son, who then lost interest in it, and I kept it going as a teacher channel. And so what I try to do is create teacher content that I wish existed when I started teaching. And one of the things I wish existed when I started teaching was a place to go on Sunday nights when you're freaking out about Monday morning, even though most of us have off for Veterans Day tomorrow. But apparently not everyone does.
Not Tracy.
No,
Gloucester. Our district, they all have school tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
So anyway, here's the idea. You show up, we answer questions, and if I don't know the answer, or even if I do have an answer, all these awesome people on the side are going to, like Tal Thompson and Tracy Pinter and Richard Royster, are going to answer your questions as well and give you hope for tomorrow, which is a tall order, but we're willing to serve it up. So real quick, this weekend I went to the Teach Better 2019 conference, and it had to be the best conference I ever went to. Because mostly they just invited the right people. So I got to see Dave Burgess speak for the first time, and that guy did not disappoint. Like, I'm not I don't know what I expected, but I've heard so much about him, and he was awesome. My friend Adam Welcome spoke as a keynote, and he, I don't know what I expected there either, but it was really, really good. And then I met all these really great people, like all these DBC authors. I won a book. My friend Tara Martin, who is part of the DBC family as well, was there. And then all these people showed up that drove from far away to come and meet us. And that was really humbling. I mean, look, it's just me and the not so secret wife in the dining room. Hey, I wasn't showing you. I just showed your shoulder. Right? You just your hand. But it was really humbling and really wonderful. Here's what it made me think of, and then I'll jump into questions. So if you have a question, please just write Q or question before it. If you didn't already, it's totally fine. We'll find it, but it just helps to weed through and find questions. And leave your question in the side, and then we'll go in order and answer as many as we can tonight. So the fascinating thing was I
turned it down prior.
I literally felt like it was meeting with all the people in the comment section. Like, what if there was a place where all of you in the comment section that show up every single week, or you're not even, you don't even comment. Like, if all of us could meet sometime, that would be insane, because it would be like meeting all your homies that you meet every single week. So anyway, it was so good. Like, I might even make a YouTube video about these are the takeaways that I got. Yeah. So anyway, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. How do you have the energy to do this tonight? That's a really great question. That's my buddy Unicorns Rock, who I talked about a lot this weekend. And I think I can count on one hand. I think I had 3 hours of sleep one night, and then last night I think I got 2 hours of sleep. Have the energy to do this. This is no BS.
Wait, are you really going to give the real reason? Like you just took a 3-hour nap?
No, I did. You're right. I did take a 3-hour nap.
That's how he has
what?
the energy.
You know why? Because teachers deserve it. Hashtag Adam, welcome. So I love this stuff. Like, and I don't like to disappoint. And so like I like going out this weekend and hanging with everyone was exhausting, but it was like getting tired from opening too many Christmas gifts, right? Like no kid would ever be like, I'm tired, my fingers hurt. Like it's like, no, like bring more, I'll do it. Even if my fingers do hurt a little bit later. What you got?
Oh,
I should have got water. I talked so much this weekend, it gave me a sore throat.
I can give you some. You have to find your own question.
John Lopez is asking, which song or songs best describe how your academic year is going? Oh, man. It could be two. There is a song by Radiohead called Talk Show Host, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. And if there's ever a movie about me, I want it to. It's there. I think the other one is, so it's that, or the flip side is the energy of a song like Scenario by Tribe Called Quest is what's, I'm going back and forth this year.
I don't have another one. I said you gotta find your own question. I was getting you water.
Whoa.
Someone said there's a bug on our wall. I hope not.
Is there a bug on our wall?
I don't think so. I looked.
That would be embarrassing.
Well, why?
I don't know. Wonder if anyone ever did a live feed and had something awkward happen in the background.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Answer your question.
Or a boogie. My hair looks like it's a bug on the wall. That doesn't make any sense. But Ryan Badolato. Barb, let's talk later on the channel before we get done. Reynolds, first, love the as good as it gets analogy you gave. Thanks, man. I love that, and it made me really think about it. So for you, those of you that don't know, that was in my last video that I put up like a week and a half ago. And I'm just going to tell you, you can check it out there. That helped me a lot this week. Question, how do you draw the line between holding kids accountable and remembering that they're still just kids? I think by having the conversation. So whether I push back or I don't push back, it always comes back to the conversation of like, so I teach all boys, so I call everyone bro, like I'm from California. And so it's always, bro, we got to talk about what's going on right now. Like, because I don't know that kids always know the line. And I think when we speculate that anybody knows anything, we're in trouble. So it is approaching a student and saying like, this is what I say, here's what I'm seeing. And it's making me feel like this. And so when you do that to a kid, you're not saying you did this and it was wrong. You're saying, this is what I'm seeing. Or I'll say, this is what I'm seeing. Can you speak to this? And all that does is hold a mirror up to someone, because sometimes we don't know that what we're doing is bad. There have been times in my life where I've made a video and one of my kids will do something that I don't like, and I'll snap, or I'll say something in a certain way that when I'm editing later, I go, oh, that is like not like, it was like ugly looking. And I didn't think about it in the moment. Like it left me. In watching it again, it was like holding a mirror up to myself. And that was really impactful. So I think it's by just holding the mirror up and then doing that again and again and again. And I think that works. Chris Chong is asking, I teach a computer science class and have a problem with students playing games on computers. I tell them to stop and they prefer to stop. But when I go back when I walk when I walk away. My bad, can't read. Any tips for solving this? Say, Chris, so I get that you're teaching a computer science class, but what are they doing? What should they doing? What should they be?
Here's what I'm going to answer. I have an answer to this. I don't know the exact thing, but so I was talking to a friend of mine and they were saying they had parent-teacher conferences with his daughter, and the biggest problem was that she was always playing games on the computer when she was supposed to be doing work. So the school district just implemented like some sort of technology that the teacher is able to like, it's called like whiteboard or something like that for the computer, that they get to see what's on everybody's screen. Yeah. I wonder if there's something like that out there.
There is.
Okay.
I'm going to speak to that. You're being really patient, my man. I appreciate it. You answer. There's technology out there that you can see. Your connection is unstable. I'm trying to reconnect. Why is that happening?
I don't know. Someone said something.
Oh, there you go. Tracy Pinder said, "Go Guardian for Chromebooks." It is like a thing where you can like see what your students are doing. Here's my other suggestion too, because I think that's a good move. But what are students supposed to be doing, and can it be not? This is not a judgment call because I have zero idea what you're doing. I don't know what your classroom looks like. But sometimes when my students aren't on task, I think, am I being engaging enough? Am I doing something that is like next level enough that's awesome that you can't help? And so one of the things I talk about when I go give talks places is you can lead a horse to water and you can't make it drink, but you can make it really thirsty. And so how can you make kids thirstier to like really jump into something? And so that to be honest, like I'm feeling the fire of this weekend, and it's making me rethink my class in a way where I'm like, how can I bring more engagement from my students by like really upping my game, like next level. And so I have that fire in me this weekend. So that's what I'm thinking about, and that's what I would sort of throw back to you and see like what you think could work in that world. Like when doing that computer science stuff, like what are you doing that's getting kids excited about what they're doing in class so that they don't want to tune out to whatever else is going on.
Crow 15, someone says that you know him. He said he is Keith Wanamaker. Do you know that name? Old student. Colleen Sanchez tagged, like he found you from a tag.
Yeah, I know that dude.
Anyway,
he was on here?
Yeah, that's him right there in the green.
Oh, I know you, bro, from Camden Academy. What's up? That's really funny. Colleen Sanchez tagged him.
She tagged you in a post.
Good work, bro. I'd love to know what you're up to. If you would shoot me an email at realrapwithreynolds.com, I would love, or at gmail.com. I would love to hear what you're up to. Damn, I haven't. No. That's funny. Oh, did I have a question too? Rad. Queen de la Classroom is asking, who is a very wonderful human being. I just want to say, I've met her in real life too. How do you handle it when you start living? Oh my gosh, I am #winning at. Maybe you should start asking the question. That's a good idea.
No,
you read the babe. We work in tandem.
No, come on, do your question.
Like a partnership, like Chips or Dukes of Hazzard.
I'm ignoring you.
I'm coming up with a thing. How do you handle it when you start having a lot of after school things that you feel you're never home with your family? This is a really great question. And so I don't want to talk about the conference the whole time, but something that I came away with was I work a lot. Like I work for me, like, and I'm not like a born hustler. Like I'm more like a puppy where I have spurts of energy and then I can chill a lot. But that's not even that true because I do move around a lot. But anyway, my whole point here is that I now work oftentimes I'll come home at work at like 5 or something like that. And then I get home, I eat dinner with the family, and then I work until midnight. And I'm realizing that there's only so many more years with my kids, right? So my boy is 12, he'll be 13 next summer. That gives me in essence about 5 more summers with him before he would go to college if that's his choice, but about 5 more summers. And I've been thinking a lot about this idea. There was a study done that said that by the time your children are 18, you've already spent 80% of the face time you will ever have with your kids. And those two things in tandem somehow came up this weekend. And it really made me think I need to be spending more time with my family. Like the business that I'm building is 100% for my family. And then the beauty of that is that it impacts teachers and it impacts students. So it's this really life-giving thing, but I am losing time with with the number one thing. I'm pointing this way because my kids are up there. So I just have been thinking about that a lot. So I think it's reframing what's actually important. Look, I'll say this online, and I know that people from my school watch this, and they know that I just don't do everything that I'm supposed to do. And there's or that I want to do. Like I don't go to sporting events. I don't go to the plays. I don't do that stuff right now. I used to do it all. And I think when my kids are a little older, I look forward to going back into doing that, to staying all those extra hours, to doing all this extra stuff. But right now, there's something else that's on my plate that's really important. It's my children. And so, and the old, not so secret wife, not old. I didn't mean it. Like
your brain's not fully functioning
I'm telling
tonight.
you, this is going to, I might say some wild shit tonight. I don't even know what's going on. So that's what I think it is. It's just reframing what's actually important and saying it to yourself so that you remember, and then doing those things that are the most important for you. Amy Russell, my buddy, we will meet one day as well. How do you overcome discouragement from the grind? It's never ending, and staying motivated is problematic the past few weeks. Amy Russell, I would say a couple of things. One, I think there's all this talk about self-care, right? But like, what does that actually look like for us? I think self-care, my friend Alicia, I met her at a conference last year, told me that her dad always said, if there's no gas in the car, nobody's going anywhere. And that stuck with me so much to like I need to fill the gas tank up so we can go somewhere. And so for me, that's why I'm always talking about like waking up early. And so with time shift, like, so for daylight savings time here in the US, except for Arizona, because they don't buy into that, which is probably a good thing. We switched the clocks. So now getting up at 5 really feels like getting up at 6, which isn't that big of a deal for me. And so I get up and I pray and I meditate and I journal and I read something good. I drive to school and I'm mindful about what I'm listening to. I'm not listening to certain types of music because I only want to like fill myself up with goodness. So it's like listening to certain podcasts, listening to certain music. It's going to school, and I no longer let my students in as soon as I get there. So if I get to school at 7:15 in the morning, I don't let kids in until after 7:30, which gives me about 20 minutes by myself, which is not answering questions and talking about what was on TV last night, which is also important. But what it's doing is allowing me to be in my room, and it's quiet. I put jams on and I get my room ready and I get myself in that mental space. And now I'm like, I feel like a boxer coming out of backstage to the ring, because I was like, all that madness is going to be there. The fight's going to be there, but I need to pump myself up first and get myself ready. And for me, that's praying and listening to music. And then after school, like, we've been doing a lot of trips of like taking the kids and the dog to the woods that are like not in my neighborhood, because there's like 4 trees in my neighborhood, but like going to the woods. And I'll tell you, like, that simple act of taking a walk for 30 minutes is like, it's great. Like it's the best for the kids. It's the best for the dog. It's disgusting when we come home. But other than that, like
for all of us, it like resets.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I think when you're feeling down and you're feeling worn out, that it's what's going to reset you. And most of the time, like, you know, every motivational book I've ever read is like, talks about your physiology. It's about getting yourself in a different physical space, which is going to reset your mental space. And then you look at things differently and you carry yourself differently and things go differently.
Don't forget, you can get, someone mentioned also, teachers can get a year for Headspace.
Oh yeah.
Free.
No, it's not. Is it Headspace also?
That's what I thought he said.
Headspace is the one with the guy that talks like this.
I don't know.
He has a really
he said Headspace.
Oh, all right. I know
the
Calm app also, you can get a Calm app. And they're both wonderful.
Yeah,
I used Headspace. But now I've gotten better at
Headspace is free for a year.
Okay. I've gotten better at meditating, and now the guy scares me when he starts talking again. Because I'm like Kristen is asking, do you give straight up zeros for plagiarizing? We assigned sonnets and my students turned in Shakespeare's sonnet 30. Bro, like, you couldn't pick like a less famous person to cheat off of than Shakespeare. I give straight up zeros for those assignments. I do not allow kids to retake them, and I call home and write it up. And just because I want guys to know, like, look, the bigger lesson there is not like, you didn't come at me, I don't feel hurt by it, you try to trick me or something like that. Like, I get it, right? Like, but like, part of me gets it. What I don't want you to think is that I think going through life and doing hard work, sometimes school's not fun and it can be hard, but sometimes work is hard in life too. And so being able to grind through things is a lesson. I also think it's a lesson that the teacher and the student need to work together to make things not suck so bad. So how are you sprinkling magic? How are you peppering in some kind of like awesomeness on your class, which makes this not suck so bad? But that's 100% what I would do. You're in the right if that's what you're doing. I'd be interested to see what other people would say about that as well. Like, would you give a straight 0 for that to see, like, I feel like Richard Oyster sits differently on those things sometimes, and like in a very good way.
Mm-hmm.
He like helps level me out sometimes. Yeah. Veronica is asking, do you have any tips for an aide with a disability trying to deal with discipline? So Veronica, I'm not that. Look, if this is one of those questions where like if I knew exactly what you're talking about, I might be able to be even more assistance. I think dealing with students and dealing with discipline is a couple of things. I think one, all right. So I'm trying to wrap my head around this for a moment because I'm trying to think of like what I've been doing lately. What I've been doing lately is trying to imagine my classes as magical as it can be, right? I like literally spend time in the morning envisioning if today was the best, what would it look like? I also envision students that drive me crazy and like literally spend time thinking about like forcing myself to think about several things that they're good at or that they do. Like, are they on time? Do they always have a pen? Like it could be real, like low stakes here. Like they don't touch other people, like, but they just talk all the time. Maybe that's their problem. But like, what are the good things? Because sometimes we are just looking, and I said this in a video recently too, like we're looking for a specific thing and then we find we find what we're looking for. And so if I'm looking for good behaviors or if I'm thinking in that way, it shifts my mindset a little bit. And the other thing is building relationships with students. And that the kids I focus on the most are students that fly under the radar, right? Because I think class gets overcrowded by awesome kid and struggling kid, and then there's middle of the road that me up, and so that's I think why I have affinity for those students because like I totally flew under the radar.
What? Why had YouTube for this video?
What?
I don't know. Well, whatever. It's fine.
Maybe it's not even real YouTube. Maybe somebody has a stupid thing that says they're YouTube. And then I think building relationships with those, with the struggling students, because it's going to help to kind of minimize behaviors, and with students that are in the middle, because you're adding what you want to do is like move the needle to kids that are engaged. And when engagement, there's less behavior problems. And I think that building relationships, when I really get down with a kid, there's no way they're going to be a problem in my class. And if they are, I can check them and be like, bro, what are we doing? This is our class. Like, this is the best class of the day. What are you thinking? And they're far more likely to check themselves because they don't want to let you down anymore because they trust and care about you. And that puts that student in the power place also. Hales Teach. We use, oh, that's not a question. We use Go Guardian. It's great. Awesome. She agreed with Tracy Pinter, though. That's for the computer science question.
Yeah, I had a question. I don't know what it meant.
I didn't realize you got me. Did you get me water, or is this somebody's old water? All right, awesome. Thank you. There's always water around here. It's like science with, what the hell is that guy's name? Mel Gibson.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Answer that one. I don't know where we were. You moved it. But I'll
sorry.
Get back. I'll figure it out.
Stale.
No, contaminated, she said.
It's contaminated. That was a great movie. Kimberly Wallback, my buddy, is asking, I'm a parent in a class with a teacher who hasn't shown up for 2 weeks. How can I support the kids? Oh my gosh, Kimberly, first of all, you need to ask your school that. I think it's like, where is this person? Are they sick? Are they coming back? You know, have they been abducted? Maybe we need a search party for them. So I think like I would ask for help. And then as a parent, you shouldn't be like, I'm wondering what that's looking like. Do you have lesson plans? Are you doing something with do they have you doing stuff with students? I would look, here's how you win in this situation. I have found that I've had a number of co-teachers that have split. I once worked with someone who went to lunch and never came back on the first day of school. And so when that happens repeatedly, what you show up as is the consistent one. You're the one that shows up every day. And you don't need to tell kids that. They already know it. So, and I'm not saying you're too wonderful to do that kind of crap anyway, but like, it is that the fact that you keep showing up, you're going to be able to build relationships with students and have some connection points that there is a sub or nothing. Yeah, I think you just keep doing the best you can, and remember this: like education is about planting seeds. I talk about this all the time, but like it's so true. It is you're planting seeds that are going to grow eventually, and you being there, you don't know if that pays off now or if it's in December or if it's in March or May, whatever. But just stay the course. And I think that you end up personally winning and being able to have far greater effect on your students because you stayed the course, because you showed up every day. And so, yeah. So that's what I would do. Shayla, I'm not gonna be able to say your last name. I don't even know. I tried because I can't say things that have too many vowels in them. Shayla is asking, how do you deal with students who are disrespectful and will not stop creating loud distractions in class? I've tried being gracious, stern warnings, parents support the kids. Oh, that's the worst. So look, the way, gosh, sometimes I get questions, and the way I do stuff is not always the way other people should do stuff. And so it's like, so when I get hung up because I'm trying to think of an answer, I really think that part of it is, of course, relationship building, even with kids that are a total pain in your ass. I've been detentions to kids that made them eat lunch with me before, and then like almost forcibly formed relationships, like in a way that like you have to show it's just me and you and a handful of other people in a room, and now we're sitting next to one another, and I'm just gonna keep talking to you, and you don't have to like me, but like I just think that builds this consistency in a kid's life, and you can kind of break them down. I think sometimes giving kids jobs have too much energy, or talking to them on the side and saying, look, bro, here's what I'm back to this, right? Here's what I'm seeing. And I'm not sure what to do about it because I want you to be successful. I want you to be engaged because there's something I'm doing that is making you act like this, right? So they might say, yeah, your class is boring, or you never call on me, or I hate school, or I just want, like, whatever it is, I don't care about being here. What it does is provides a space for a student to open up without you blaming them for doing something. I see this in class, and they might say, I'm not doing that. And then you can talk about that. They might say, this class is stupid. It's boring. I hate school. I don't see any value in what we're doing. Let's have a conversation about that. It's not me proving you wrong. It's me giving you space to be who you are. I think when kids are making loud, outrageous distractions in class, it's because they're bored, or they want attention, or they're not thinking about what they're doing. So entering into that conversation with someone is like, can we break this down? Like I used to have a kid that made bird noises. There were 3 of them, right? And and then they became seniors, and I was like, I want to just punch you in the chest right now. Because then like 2 of them became my homies, and the one kid kept making bird noises the rest of high school. But they would do this thing where one of them would make a bird noise, and then I'd be like, bro, stop making bird noise. It's not me. And somebody else would start making a bird noise. So they were going around. And to be honest, that is some stuff I would have done in high school, and a part of me that knows it's hilarious. But it becomes having the conversation of like, here, like, we literally, like, this is what we're literally doing right now, like making bird noises. And it's funny, but comedy's always about timing. And so this was the conversation I had with them, was like, it's just the wrong time. Like, you're farting in the elevator, man. There's a time and a place for stuff, and like now you're just ruining it for everyone. And so that
not just you said an elevator.
I did. Did you like that one?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I also tell kids this is inappropriate. Also, I go, bro, there's a time for everything. Like, you don't wipe your ass in a classroom, so don't disrupt my classroom either. Because it's not the time or the place to do it. So I think I answered the question. I got distracted there. But that's what I would do. I think it comes into a conversation and then like, and then take points off if you have to. Like I take points off because now you're distracting. You were distracting the rest of the class. You're being a disruption. So we're losing points. And sometimes it's like figuring out what language a kid speaks and then speaking that language to them.
You don't teach girls. So, and have you heard this?
Fiscal girls. No.
Yeah, like Marley walks around, Audra walks around, and she goes, whatever that noise is, that's like a thing. And other people were saying they've done calls in their class as well. That's hilarious. Kids are weird.
The more I think about it, I thought the other day that of all the dumb stuff we did in high school, and you think it's hilarious, and like it was like I had a moment where I just thought of like 4 things I did in high school that were so stupid, and because I'm young and I'm just thinking dumb stuff to do. So yeah, Stephanie is asking, do you miss teaching a co-gendered classes? I do. I'll be honest with you. I keep up with far more female students that I used to teach than male students. And because when I for some reason, when I taught guys and girls, the girls were more willing to share. And so I never had to like push, like boys kept themselves in check a lot of times because girls were in the class. And because they wanted to look cool because they're 9th grade and everyone's awkward and they don't know what to do with themselves. And so I don't know what that was, but it's like some of my favorite students of all time were my female students from my old school. So I do miss that. I often wonder what it would be like to teach an all girls school instead of all boys school, but there is something to all boys school that I really love. Like, I'm the kind of person, I think I'd be happy like wherever I taught, but there's something really special to it that I didn't innately think would be special. But yeah. Angelica is asking, great picture. You look like you're like on a red carpet in your profile picture. You just mentioned that you listen to positive podcasts. What podcasts do you recommend? Student teacher here. So I listen to, it depends on who the guest is, right? There are no podcasts I just like straight listen to. Rich Roll, I'll listen to, like Ed Milet, I'll listen to Aubrey Marcus podcast, Joe Rogan. Sometimes I Design Matters with Debbie Millman, right? So like, here's the thing about me is that I very rarely read educational books. I'm just like not interested in them. Although now I got this book the other day from Aaron Martin, Be Real. I won it at the conference. Or now hearing Dave Burgess speak, I really want to read his book. I read stuff about business and design because I think that is so many times like really creative. So if you want to like classrooms are like running little businesses, right? Like we want customers to show up and to want to show up. One of the things Dave Burgess brought up in his talk was if kids didn't have to be in your class, would they show up? And so trying to create a class that students want to show up to, that there's like innate value, there's like a connection with the teacher. They really like, they're the students that are like texting me over the summer, or like DJ Dirty Kev was texting me tonight. It's those sorts of connections. And so I think in the world of design and entrepreneurship, we are trying to get people to show up. We're trying to get their attention. And I think that those have more creative solutions a lot of times than teachers do. And I'm not saying that about all teachers. What I'm really saying is, and not us, right? Let me draw that distinction, because in this chat, on this channel, on the people that I choose to get down with, we all know the people in our school that show up for the kids. We know the people in our school that are willing to like ride or die for kids in the classroom and do. That's maybe not a good analogy because that sounds weird, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like it is the people that show up for the kids, and we know the people that are like just done, like, or you're not even really sure why they show up because they've been handing out the same worksheet since 1984 and it's still purple ditto paper. In that group, right? Seth Godin says, who's an entrepreneur, Seth Godin says, people like us do things like this. And I love that idea so much because it's like, Who would spend all this time creating a classroom that looks a particular way? Who would go out of their way to build a connection with a student, to spend time giving up their lunch to eat with a student, to bridging gaps and taking a student who feels like they're invisible and doing anything you can to make that kid visible? Because people like us do things like this. And that is not an exclusive term. I'm not trying to exclude anyone. I get down with who I get down with at school. I have my circle of people, not because I don't like the other people, but because it's life-giving. It brings me joy. It is fun to be around them. And so, it's a place to go when you're not feeling fun, when you're feeling drained, when you feel broken. Those are my homies that I go to, that I get down with the most. And there are other folks that just choose not to do that. That's fine. You can choose your own way, and there's a group for everyone. But I just think that that idea of that's what I get from those podcasts is people like us, the creatives, the people that are loving, the people that are trying to be kind and make the world a better place. Like people like us do things like this. I just think is like a really great mantra. So Sheila Weston is saying, I volunteer at an urban ed elementary school, and a lot of my kids live in poverty and are falling behind due to trauma and behavior issues. How can I make a change for those kids in those situations? I think I said your name wrong too. Sheila? I don't know. I'm not going to try and figure it out because then I just butcher people's names. I'm sorry. I suck at people's names. I think it is about remembering, let's take two things, right? Let's make this totally accessible. One, your attention is far more important than your advice. Just sitting with someone and listening to them is far greater than having the right thing to say. Oftentimes, when we try to make people feel better, it actually makes them feel worse. I cannot stand when I have a really difficult day and I tell someone and they go, well, why'd you do it like that anyway? You should have done this. And it's like, there's always tomorrow. And it's like, I get I get where their heart is coming from, right? Don't mean to judge. What I mean by that is that sometimes you just want someone to sit down in the mud with you. And Brene Brown has a really great piece about this. If you go on and type in, I don't even know what you would type really, but if you type in Brene Brown, I'm going to say fox. There's this really great animation that someone made of, and so you're looking at the right thing. It's like a fox or a bear. They're in the woods and they look down this hole and they see someone in the hole. Go look up that video. I'm not even going to explain the rest of it. It's really empowering. So your attention is more important than your advice. And then, like I said earlier, I think remembering that we are planting seeds so that students are we don't always see immediate change. I cannot express enough. When I have said something to a kid that was empowering or hurtful, that over a decade later, they shout me out on social media, I meet them on the street or whatever, and they say, you once said this to me and it changed my life. Or you said this to me and it hurt my feelings. It's like, damn, man, we are planting seeds, whether they are weeds or flowers in our students' lives. And it's really about being mindful that you don't always see the effect now. Sometimes it doesn't come till much, much later. So just remember that and stay the course, and you're doing good work. You don't have to fix everyone. You're just being a consistent force of love and kindness in their lives. And that's all anybody can ask from you. Next question, stacking time. How do I adjust from junior high to high school? I find that prayer works a lot, and wine. So look, it's the same thing, right? But it depends on what grade. I feel, right? I might not know. Somebody else on here might have a better answer for this. I feel like 6th, 7th, 8th grade are wow, man, it's freaking Beaker and.
I think this is a student.
Oh, yeah. Well, then I'll change what I'm going to say. I think you can do a couple of things. Junior high is hard to me. It was very, very difficult. I had a hard time. Although I like having fun. I like laughing. I like carrying on. I do not take being made fun of well. And that was a struggle for me, right? I went from everything was cool, 5th, 6th grade, got in the 7th grade, dude started making fun of me. And I was like a deer in the headlights, how do I deal with this? And I think in high school, what you see generally, my experience was students started to mature more. And I started to find my footing and find my personality and really find my peer group. Because like once you're going through all the growth of being a teenager, I found people that I really got down with. And here's pro tip. You're starting to become the person you're going to become. The music you listen to, the art that you take in, the kind of clothes that you wear, the way you start styling your hair, like all these things start informing the sort of person that you're becoming on the inside, and this outside is just the manifestation of that inside change, right? So I think just looking for good people, more than anything, I remember going into high school that you were absolutely the average of the 5 people you choose to hang around with the most, and being mindful of those folks. Because if you hang out with people that stink, you're going to stink. If you hang out with people that are doing awesome stuff, you're going to end up doing awesome stuff. If you hang out with people that are fit or smart or getting the grades or being loving forces in the world, like you're going to be that also. So in high school, I only partnered with people I thought were awesome. And I had the audacity to just try and stand near them and be one of them. And then it only ever benefited me for the best. Best of luck too. That's a crazy transition, but it's something you'll remember for the rest of your life.
That's your student. He is a teacher.
Shut up.
In Camden, he said.
Wanamaker, you're a teacher?
Yeah.
Bro, you got to email. We got to connect. Dude, I can't, first of all, this is freaking blowing my mind. Like in the best way possible. Like, oh man. All right. Do your students see kindness as weakness? And can you change the mindset of students to behave without fearing you? Yes. Students often mistaken kindness for weakness. And I tell them, do not mistake my kindness for weakness. I tell them that I think you have to be transparent with where you're coming from. I want kids to know that I care so much, bro. Like building relationships, right, is number one. And if you think back to, I'm going to speak your language, right? And not everyone's going to know what I'm talking about. You think back to the students, to the teachers that dared to build relationships with students. Miss Ash, McDougal, Mr. Major, Mr. Brown, were all teachers that had the audacity to say, bro, come over here. Let's talk. Let's be 100% real about what's going on in your life. And then, although McDougal and Ash and those guys were like really great people that were trying to make class engaging, that were really caring towards you, they will call you on your shit in a heartbeat. And I think that is the switch, is that and then when you do that, the difference is speaking to someone and saying, I need you to understand where I'm coming from for this. It's not because I want you to be in trouble. It's because I want you to be successful. And I think this is what you need right now. And I don't mean that in a Chris Brown, Rihanna kind of way where you like punch someone and go, it's for your own good. Like that's like, we're not talking about abusive relationship here. We're talking about being real with yourself and then checking yourself too. Like keep like making sure that your intentions are the best. Because sometimes we get aggravated with students and we do things out of haste or out of anger. And then we're trying to penalize a student. But it's like, we have to be the grownups and say, nope, this is what's absolutely necessary. So if I give a kid a 0 for cheating, if I raise my voice in class, if I speak to a student outside of class and I have to really be real with them, I need them to know that's 100% from a place of care, because I got to snap you out of your behavior so that we can build something better. And I think many, many, many students do not fail enough. I don't think us as humans fail enough. We give out 8th place trophies, and I know that's a Gary Vee thing, but like, and students aren't getting hit with reality enough. And when we do hit them with reality, it's like not just knocking someone, and that would sound like I was insinuating you should have physical violence, but like if someone gets knocked down with your decision, it's about helping them back up and then helping them figure out a way forward. It's about learning how to fail quickly so that you can grow from that failure. So I think it's building those relationships with students are going to allow them to even hear that, because when kids think you're just coming at them, they're just going to shut down and be like, nah, bro, done. Like, don't even talk to me anymore. You just hate everything. You just want me to fail. You just don't want me to do well. It's like, you have zero idea what you're talking about right now. And I want you to know right now that I care about you more than you could ever imagine. I only ever want success for you in your life. And I want you to be the greatest possible version of what you could be. But to do that, I got to take no bullshit, bro, because I want to help you grow into someone that is amazing. And you can take what I'm doing however you want, but I know the truth. And that's the bottom line, Keith, I think, is that you have to remember that you know your truth. And when that's pure and honest, then you win. You're really going to eat the kids' Halloween candy right now. All right, this is sitting here in front of us. Diane Clausen is saying, I have a student who has multiple dishonesty issues. I want to trust him again, but I'm super cautious. Any advice? Diane, my mom always said, I trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. And so I tell students, here's an incident I had recently. Student was caught cheating. Student came after school to talk to me about it. And I'm in my room with all the regular guys. It's Ham and Shane and like Hugs and all the dudes you see in all the videos, right? And we're having like just daily wrap up session talking about the day and stuff like that. And he comes in and he goes, Mr. Reynolds, I want to talk to you about my grade. I said, sure, man. He says, you gave me a 0 and I wasn't cheating. But like my man like had the answers in his hand. And so I said, well, this is what I saw. Can you break that down for me? And Ham goes, bro, you're cheating. And the kid goes, no, I wasn't. He goes, bro, you were cheating. And Hugs goes, yeah, bro, you were 100. Like, no, who forgets they have something in their hand? Like, you were cheating. And then they went on to talk about me in a way that, like, I don't like compliments, but I'm going to tell you this story anyway. And so, no, this is very uncomfortable for me. Like, Mr. Reynolds will do anything for you. And he tries to make his class engaging for you. And then he trusts you. He trusts you until you give him a reason not to trust you. And
he said that?
Dude, I'm telling you, this kid was hit in the mitt with honesty in a way that he was just like, these are seniors that are guys, people like Ham's the captain of the wrestling team this year, or he's either captain or co-captain of the wrestling team.
But still, yeah.
And it was, so that he holds some clout. And it wasn't the message. It was 100% the messenger. So sometimes when you're dealing with things like that, I think it's about being honest with kids and saying, look, man, you got to build trust back up. And I want you to. And I think you can. And we can get there 100%. But what I'm seeing from you is this sort of dishonest behavior. And I'm going to hold a mirror up to you so you can see what that is. I think also sometimes finding mentors for students to help them along the way in any number of ways. And that doesn't have to be something that's like teachers would do this. Teachers would then make a committee about it. They would have conversations about it. They would send out emails about it. They'd pair kids up and they would have meeting times during the week where those kids would meet together. Or you buy a bunch of cereal and eat with kids after school. Or if you don't have money for cereal, go buy Top Ramen. That stuff $6 for $1. Get some hot water from the office and eat Top Ramen with kids. And let those kids that are dishonest and behavior issues or whatever eat with the rest of you. And I'm telling you, you can't have a bad time when you're sharing a meal with people. It is the space to get to know someone, and then someone that you know, someone that trusts you, someone that sees that you care not just for them, but for everyone else. They will have a significantly harder time being dishonest with you because now they care about you. They care about what you think, and betraying your trust becomes a much harder thing to do. Chris T is asked, Chris T. I don't know if your name's Christy or if you just did Chris T because T's your last name, but either way, kind of fun. I'm a new teacher and the student and I seem to have a good relationship, but I teach in a small community and the students are always trying to get into my personal business. Boundaries? ? Chris T, you should live out loud. You should share things about your life with your students. Where'd you grow up? What was it like growing up? What did you think in their grade? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of movies do you listen to? Do you have a dog? What's your dog's name? What kind of dog do you have? What do you do after school? Where do you go this weekend? Students, we want to know this stuff about students, so we need to share those things about us. It's about modeling the behavior for students. Now, if your students say, when's the first time you kissed your boyfriend? That's a little bit friggin' weird. I don't know if I would tell people that. If they said, did you ever try drinking when you're in high school? Did you ever smoke pot when you're in high school? Those are questions I'm about to answer for students ever. And thank you very much for doing that. I think though that the literally, and I can't say that this is, everyone has a version of this, I think, but literally creating a YouTube channel has been the best lesson I've ever taught my students. And this is the reason. I have taken something that I tried with my son, that I started creating content for the internet, that turned into speaking engagements, that turned into a way for me to create revenue for my family by going and speaking places, by showing students that I'm willing to make over 300 and some videos now for free, right? Like I don't get paid. I get paid a little bit from YouTube, but it's like that's not where you don't get rich off YouTube from making YouTube videos.
Unless you have about like 5 million subscribers.
Yeah, then you're
I don't really know if we're ever going to get to 5 million.
But it's taking my time, making free stuff to help other people in the world and be a force of kindness in the world. Doing mentoring calls that led to a book. All this stuff that I'm doing live on the internet, like right now, live on the internet, and showing students what it looks like in my most humble way to try and do something good in the world. I share the lives of my kids. I talk about my wife. Doing that stuff is the best lesson because kids don't often know what it looks like to do something successful. So if I was doing a weight loss challenge, or if I was going to the gym so I run every day and I put it on Instagram. I've been running for over 330 some days. Shit, I gotta run tonight after this. I know. Damn it. So putting that out there, you are being the inspiration for children. Now that could be in a million ways. It could be being a great parent. It could be cleaning your home or designing stuff or helping at your church. But you're doing that stuff out loud, and you're not just telling kids to be good people. You're showing them how to be a good person, or at least one version of that, right? I'm not the be all end all, but I think that is the best lesson you could ever have for your students. H Dog is asking, I like how certain people's names, I don't know why I wanted to say them like with enthusiasm.
Yeah, because they're fun to say, or like they do that on purpose.
Yeah, hope so. Hey, currently writing my personal statement application for teaching. Any tips to stand out from the crowd? I think be brutally honest. So I haven't done that in a while, but when I am thinking about schools, I'm thinking about, why me? Like, what about my story makes me a better teacher? So I'll tell you, I was telling,
you mean like your personal story?
Yeah. So I was at dinner with Ryan Sheehy, who wrote Be One for the Kids, right? We've been making so many title jokes all weekend that I didn't want to get it wrong. And I was telling him that I got it. So I was telling him that growing up, I wanted to be a drummer. I wanted to be a clown, and I actually went to California. I went to Africa, and at a time in my life, I worked in an AIDS clinic for about 2.5 months, and I used to go in and just blow bubbles to people, or do silly stuff and like try and brighten the day of those that are in there. I've spent time in a monastery because I really thought about being a monk or a priest at one point. And so as I'm telling them this, he's like, bro, why wasn't this in your talk the other day? This is great, because it is taking all you've been through in your life has helped to create the person that you are. And so what are some of those things that have impacted you to a level where you think you have something to bring to the classroom? It's not where you went to school. It's not how good your grades were. It's not how excited you are about teaching. Where does the passion come from that you are now going to go into a school and bring that life experience? Like the fact that I lost both of my parents when I was young, the fact that I had a really hard time in high school and middle school and got beat up every single day. I don't know if I would write that particular thing, but the fact that I got beat up every day of freshman year, every day, and survived and thrived in high school. The fact that I got into college, in community college, and spent like a Van Wilder stint in school because I didn't know how to learn, because I didn't learn in high school, because I was a solid C- student in high school. All that made me into who I am today. And those are the gifts that I now bring to my school. So what are your gifts, and where do they come from that you're bringing to the school and to the situation that you're into? Ari is asking, do you have any tips for teachers who are in IB schools teaching English B? I don't know what's in, I forget what so 2 things. One, could somebody help me out with that? Do you have any tips for teachers who are in IB schools teaching English B? I don't know what IB is. I feel like that's International Baccalaureate. I don't really know. Two, so if you can clarify that, maybe I can help out with that. But if anybody else has an answer for that too, my wife had to step out. There's a family thing. So I'm on my own now, and I'm looking for questions. And this is not my strong suit because it involves multitasking, which I'm terrible at. So I hope I don't mess up. Joe Trent is asking, hey, Reynolds, I have my students teaching interview in 2 weeks. Do you have any advice? Joe, whenever you go into an interview for anything, I think one of the best things you can do is act like that school matters to you, that it's not one of the 5 to 10 schools that you're going into. I would look up their website, do some deep diving, like Google their name, see if they were in a news report at some point, like maybe the robotics team won a thing last year. Maybe the bowling team is the best in the state. Maybe they have a lacrosse program that you want to be a part of. And then when you go into the interview, remember, you're interviewing them also. So when they say, do you have any questions for us? The worst thing you can say is no. You want to say, yeah, I'd love to work at your school. I think it's a wonderful place. I'm really interested in your polo or your water polo or your hockey team or whatever. I used to do this when I was a kid, and I really think I could help with that. I saw that your SAT scores were like you guys had really good results on that last year. I'd love to be a part of that situation. Like I struggled with that when I was a kid, and like tell a little bit of your story and how are you going to bring value to their school? Like literally, even as a student teacher, you are going to make their school better when you show up. And then when you get that gig, my other piece of advice is I remember saying to my student, the guy that I student taught with, how do I make your life better by being here? How do I be of any use like that you could use by being here? And that is like music to someone's ears, because now you're not a chore. Now you're not a student teacher that they like need to babysit or make sure they have something to do. The guy I was with never had to give me anything to do. I just did stuff. I was just like cleaning boards and grading papers and organizing stuff and meeting students and handling things and greeting students at the door and saying goodbye to them and like helping the grade stuff. Like I was just like finding things to do because I wanted to bring value. And I think when you go in to an interview with the idea of this particular institution is important to me and this is what I know about you and how can I be of service, I think you win more times than you don't. Next question is, you're good. Trying to find questions. Oh, here we go. Shayla is asking, she said, on kindness is weakness, I've tried to build relationships with students and they take my words and misquote them to their parents who call the school. It makes me want to keep them distant. No. So here's what you do. I've had students do this all the time where you'll say something to a kid and then they go home and they say, the teacher said this. We all hear what we want to hear. I think it's about teaching active listening skills to your students. Really I'll say something to a student, and if the student says, this is how I'm feeling, I'll say, so this is what I'm hearing, right? This is like relationship therapy 101. This is what I'm hearing. And then I repeat back to them. Then when I say something to them, I go, do you understand what I'm saying? All right. Would you, for the sake of clarity, right? Like I tell them I'm old and I get things wrong sometimes. Can you tell me what you're hearing me say? Because I want you to repeat it back so that we're very, very clear on what's going on there, that you didn't hear something else. And I think that helps. I think, look, I'm terrible at the parent thing always messes me up. But 9 times out of 10, it's like I call parents and I go, look, I only want what's best for your kid. Like I don't want anything else. I only want them to have an awesome year. This is what I saw in class. This is how I handled it. Do you have a suggestion? Is there a way that someone in the past, a teacher, dealt with this better? Or I want to know 2 things. Who was the best teacher your kid ever had and why? Who was the teacher that they, not their worst teacher, but the teacher that they butted heads with the most or had a struggle in their class with the most and why? And that puts parents in the know, right? That puts parents on offense. That puts parents in a space where they feel like they can provide value to you, and you are acknowledging the fact that they know their child better. And every parent wants to be acknowledged in that way. They want you to, like if I've talked about this before, if my kid's school had ever said, this is what's going on, and we'd love your feedback, bro, mind blown. But they don't. A lot of times teachers act like they know kids better than parents do, and sometimes we do. But like most of the time, the parent knows their child far, far better. So going into it with that. So that's what I would do. Chris T is saying, anyone have any tips on how to dissuade a high school student who has formed a crush on you? Not sure why or how it happened, but I want to shut it down ASAP without actually acknowledging it. Chris, you could start farting a lot more in class, like publicly, and that would probably help. No, I don't want to make light of it. It happens, right? It happens because they're, especially teenagers, man. That's all they think about, sex all day. Like, and it's like, you know, I remember I literally had a 10th grade science teacher that had whiskers. And this woman, there were times where I'm like, it's only 3 whiskers. She's still kind of cute. Like, it's like, and not that I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings that has whiskers out there, but it was just like, that's where your head is. I think one of the things I talk about, or used to talk about, I don't really have that issue anymore, is like talking about my wife and my kids a lot. And this is like anywhere. So like if I go somewhere and I'm at a conference, or I am anywhere where like somebody tries to take something too far, or they try to like they let you know how much they like you, I go, I hear you. Like, that's what my wife says to me all the time. Like, and I'll just be like, I absolutely love her. Or like, I would walk in the class and be like, can I just tell you guys something really great? Like, my wife like makes my lunch every day. Like, I literally don't know how I even got this lucky to have this person in my life. And so I think it's dissuading them because you're showing your interest in something else so much. And so that works for me. Can I ask for help on that too? Like, does anyone on the side here have any answer? Like, if a student's ever had a crush on you, how have you dealt with that? Because I feel like I'm a guy too, so I don't know if I would handle it differently for that way, or if people have had to get help. Have you had to go to like a counselor? Have you had to talk to someone?
They've already did. Some people suggested to like go to a safeguard team. I guess certain schools have stuff like that in place. And to just, kind of keep it copacetic, like.
Yeah. Look, here's the other thing I'm going to recommend. If you don't find the answer here, I think that's a really good question for in the Facebook group. So Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook. It's a free group for anyone that doesn't know about it. It's closed. You can just go on there and leave your question, and you will get a ton of answers in there. And I think that could be a really good space.
I remember someone having a crush on you when you were in Camden.
Was it you?
No, come on. And you said you did things like very strategic, like you're never in the room alone with that student. Like, you always have the door open. Never alone,
period. Not in the hallway, not in the room, not in the parking lot.
But so those are like real tactical like things that person could do just to keep the boundaries
because
clear.
The scary part about that is it's all reputation, right? It's like, if you ever got accused of something, it doesn't matter if it happened or not. Like, now your reputation is just like, our jobs are our reputations. Like, and that either in a good way, like all the kids know about your class and they know you're going to be awesome and they can't wait to be in your class, or your class is like, or you're mean, or you're kind of like weird. Like, that all happens too. Here we go. Is this
what Richard Royster?
My man, Richard Royster is saying, beside the answer above, it really depends on the degree of the crush. I had a girl with borderline PD, and man, I just completely cut that down and got staff to run point zero contact. That's it. And Richard Royster is like literally the most earnest human. He is like
one of the best.
I feel like, you know who remember those commercials when they would do those? I think it was Bud Light, when they would be like, Real American heroes. I feel like they should make one of those about Richard Voice. Wouldn't it be awesome?
Can you make
The
one?
American flag. I might. I should. The American flag's blowing behind me, standing in front of his school with his YouTube channel. Like,
oh my god.
Yeah. Damn, that might be. There's a Christmas break project right there. Mr. Tran, whose name I always seem to mess up. So, damn it, I used to get it right all the time. Anyway, I'm just not going to beat myself up about this. It's saying, following up on the boundary one, how do you handle kids who are asking your opinion on controversial subjects? It depends on what the controversial subject is, right? So I used to do this thing one year where, sorry, pardon me for a moment, where we would, gosh, talking so much the last few days. I had a thing in my classroom called the box of questions. And where I got this idea was from, I remember having sex ed class in the 5th grade, and there was an anonymous time where we could ask any question that we wanted, right? So like, what was, I remember I didn't know what a tampon was. That was my question in the 5th grade. And I just, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
11 years old. I don't know anything about anything. So that was my question. And I remember the teacher read it, but because nobody knew it was me, even though everyone giggled when they read it, I still felt safe. And I just played it off like it wasn't me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I made this box of questions, and I had students ask me all kinds of weird stuff. And some of them I felt like I could answer, and others I just went with my gut instinct and thought, nope. And I just don't read them aloud. So I think some stuff, it's like, I tell kids, that's a great question. Or I don't feel comfortable answering that. Or I go like this, but I can't talk about stuff like that. Like, my kids got to eat. You want to start my kids to starve to death? For me, like, talking about like drugs or whatever it is, like whatever that thing is, whatever your line is. But I say, go with your gut, go with your instinct, and just trust that, because you know whether or not that's the answer or not. And I just tell kids like, yo, my kids got to eat, or like, it could be your dog. Like, I got to live. Like, I got to pay my bills. I'm going to be living on the street if I just get caught up in stuff like this. Sometimes that happens too. Are you British or American? I'm American. My family is from London and Ireland and Germany. And then the old wife over here is from just about everywhere else in the world, which means our kids are like, they are multicultural situation.
Lucky them.
My buddy Kimberly Walbeck is saying, where's your next speaking conference? I think, St. Joe's University next Saturday. I'm speaking with my friend Cho in the same session. And that is like Bert and Ernie giving a talk to one another or with one another. I can't wait. It's going to be hilarious. And we're speaking about something along the lines of like, and they gave me the topic, like, what do you do when you don't have resources? So what do you do when you teach in a school and you don't have any money? And then how can you still provide things for your students on a budget? Yeah. Texting people. That's cool. I got it. I'll find my own question.
I'm sorry, I got a lot going on.
Ashley is saying, can I ask a question without you getting mad at me?
Yes.
I feel like that pertains to something else. Oh yeah, she's having a conversation. That wasn't to me. Yuki, I think YUKI. I work at a cram school teacher. I work as a cram school teacher, and I teach a class of six English. But there's one student who's not used to cram school and refuses to do any work. How can I help that student? I don't know what a cram school is, but I think if students aren't used to the kind of school and they refuse to do work, look, I realize I'm redundant a lot of times, but it's because a lot of stuff has it's the same answer, man, right? I think helping students reverse engineer what they want to achieve in their life or in the year works the best. And my favorite example of that was last year, my man, I had a student, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he's watching this, and I don't want to put his business out there, wanted to be a nurse, but was like, by the end of senior year, was just like completely done with high school. And he says, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't even care if I fail. And I go, well, what do you want to be? And you're like, what do you want your life to look like? Like, where do you want to live? Do you want to help out your mom? Do you want to help out your sister? Do you want to support your brother? Do you want to have options? Do you want to have your own place? Do you want to drive your own car? Like, what kind of job do you want? Where do you want to go on vacation? How many vacations do you want to take a year? And we start talking about this stuff. And he says, I want to be an emergency room nurse. And so the conversation became like, and I want to have this house and I want to drive this specific car. And then we literally sat there at lunch. We looked it up on my phone and we priced it out. An apartment costs this much. That car costs this much. Helping your sister out with $100, $200 a week so that she can go to college and have spending money and eat and all this stuff and not have to feel like she has to work the whole time costs this much money. And then you want to be a nurse. And you can't just show up at a hospital and start nursing people. You go to jail for that. Like, hey, man, let me take your blood. Let me, I don't know how to really do this. I didn't go to any schooling for it. So it's like, to get there, you need where we live, what we looked up anyway, is a 2-year program at like even a community college. But to get into that, you need to pass high school and you need to do it with this GPA. And if you don't do that, then you can't do the other things. Like that's the foundation brick. And then you build upon that. So when you can help students see where they actually want to go and then reverse engineer that sometimes, it really helps them to go, all right, because it becomes a game, right? Like you can not like all the pieces of the game, but sometimes like, it's like if you can imagine, you know exactly what that body weight is that you want to get to. You know exactly how many miles you want to run. If you just went out for a run with someone, and so I hate when someone goes, want to go for a run, I immediately think, how far do you want to run? Like, because if it's 8 miles, I'm not into it. But if it's 3 or 4, I'm down. If it's 1, of course. So that's what it becomes sometimes, is like having the end goal in mind and then working backwards from there.
Just a couple more.
Oh, actually, yes. Why is your wife not on camera? It just seems like you're being dismissive of her and you shut her down. But that's an optics issue. Just saying. I was actually gonna watch your preview. That's why I asked her. Oh, so do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I just hate being on camera. Like, I'm not like, even our own personal family videos, like when we look back at stuff, I go, oh, I'm not in anything, you know, so I try and be in more, I just don't like it. It's just not my jam. So I stay off camera.
Yeah.
Not dismissive.
No.
I like to say hi with my hand.
She is. So,
but I like meeting people in person. It's just like camera. I don't know. It makes me awkward.
So we used to have, so not that this is like really relevant. I mean, it's relevant enough. When we would go to parties and stuff when we were younger, I want to meet everybody. Like I am the guy that can go into a bar and I don't know anybody and I have 3 best friends by the time I leave. And my wife was not like that. But we got to this point where like, I don't know how you shifted, because now you're like you used to be really shy when we go to parties. Because remember, you'd be like, I just need to know that you see me. And so like, I would just have to acknowledge you across the room. You're like, I'm good. Like you can keep doing what you're doing, but like, just acknowledge me.
Check in every so often to like ease my anxiety.
But now we'll go to like Target and you talk to everybody about everything. It's like this big shift.
I guess. I don't know what it is. Right. So meeting people in person is fine. It's the camera, because you don't know where to look and you're looking at yourself. It's all just a big thing.
Well, and when we do this, so you know, like we have 2 phones. And so my wife is looking for questions to best maximize our time.
I go in order, everybody. Just so you know, I don't skip anybody.
And in case, let's put this out on the internet. I never try to purposefully be dismissive of my wife. I am sure that I occasionally do it on accident.
The thing is, nobody knows us though. Like really, like our relationship. I mean, we've been together 25 years, like something like that. I don't even know anymore.
And I literally, like, let's put this out on the internet. I literally could not ask for a better relationship than like if I had to literally design a relationship for real. Don't you feel like that?
I do.
Like it's like she picked me up at the airport this morning, and I'm talking to her as I'm like getting closer to the car. And then we saw each other and she gets out and she gives me a big hug and a kiss. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like my parents didn't do this shit. Like we're 25 years in. Oh, babe, you can't be on camera. This is my show.
But see, that's the stuff that people don't get, like the banter and the sarcasm between us. Like CJ's always the one with the jokes, and I'm the one who always laughs at them because
you go like this. Stop.
You're
doing too much. So yeah, it's funny. Anyway,
that we can end on that.
Yeah,
let's end on that.
All right. So look, I can't get through every single question, and I really, to be honest with you, just so you know, like before you click off, that there's a part of me that's bothered every week by that because I want to answer every single question.
Oh, it drives me nuts. I can't. Yeah. I hate leaving them.
It's the worst. If you have more questions, you can do two things. One, go to the Facebook group, Real Rap With Reynolds Teacher Talk, or if you show up next week, 5 p.m. Eastern time every single week, we go in order. So the earlier you get your question in, the faster we can get to it. So that's a thing also. I really want to thank, and I want to shout, I want to steer you to something really quick. If you go on, and there's no benefit to this for me, really, it's only benefits others. If you go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you type in Teach Better, #TeachBetter19, any of the people that are on there, oh my God, man, the friggin' conference was so good this weekend. I really, really loved it. It was so impactful, like in a way where I haven't been moved by some of the conversations I've had with people in a long time. And I feel really excited to go into school next week and to really like have the best year that I possibly could. In just a different way. It was awesome. So I really thank all those guys that did that with us. And that's it. We have anything else going on?
No, goodness gracious. We don't need anything. Book edits. That's what we have going on.
Working on the book. That's it until that thing's done. So that's it, gang. I appreciate all of you. Peace.
Bye.
Awkward ending where I hit all the buttons and it's super weird because it takes really long.